Today I felt the need to track my spend time on my work computer. So I created a new simple Go project to log the total time I spend on the work computer. I created a directory and got inside it, instantiate a module with Go mod in it, created a new main.go file in a new vim, create a constant for the log file name. In the main function, get the user home directory, create the full path of the log file, save the current time as the start time, create a signal channel with a buffer of size 1, just 1 for efficiency, and let the operating system notify us, the program, via the buffered channel, so it's buffered, so it's non-blocking. If an interrupt signal or termination signal is occurred, operating system will notify us via that buffered channel. It basically says, hey operating system, if you ever send an interrupt signal like Control C or a terminate signal to this program, please put a notification about that signal inside the SigChan channel. Create a Go routine for handling the reception of signal and the logging. This line receives the signal channel. It is written like this to block this coroutine or Go routine until a signal is received. When receiving an interruption or termination signal, save the current time as the end time and calculate the duration of work. Then log the session start and end times and the work duration. End the program gracefully. The program is calculating the work time by saving the time the program starts and the time the program ends, and the elapsed time between them is the work time. If you add the program in the startup programs in your operating system, your work time will be accurate to the time you power on your computer until you shut it down. In my case, I added the program's full path in the startup programs in Ubuntu Linux, as Ubuntu is my chosen Linux operating system. Here is how we log the session. Create an entry variable. Session started, then a string placeholder for start time formatted by RFC 1123. Then session end followed by a string placeholder for the end time formatted in RFC 1123 as well. Then duration followed by a string placeholder for the neat format of work duration. We'll explain it in a bit. Open the logging file for edit or create or write and read permissions. Write the entry variable into the end of the log file. Here is how we format work duration. First, we figure out how many full days are in our total time by dividing the total hours by 24. Then, we find the remaining hours by taking the total hours and seeing what's left over after we've accounted for all the full days. Next, we do the same for minutes. We take the remaining hours, convert them to minutes, and see what's left over after we've accounted for all the full hours. And finally, we get the remaining seconds in the same way for the leftover minutes. Let's save those into an empty list. We start by making an empty list to hold the different parts of our time, like days, hours, and so on. Then, if we've calculated any days, we add them to our list, formatted like 5D for 5 days. Next, we check for hours. We add them to the list if there are any, or if we've already added days. This makes sure our time format stays consistent, like 1D to H or just to H. Then for minutes, we add them to the list if there are any minutes left over or if we've already included hours or days. This helps build out the time string like 1D, 2H, 30M or 45M. And finally, we always add the seconds to the list because seconds are the smallest unit and should always be shown. Finally, we put all those time pieces together into one clear sentence. We start with the very first part we found, like the days. Then we check if there is a second part, like hours. If there is, we add it right after so it looks good. We do the same for the third part. If it exists, maybe minutes, we neatly append that. And we repeat this one last time for the fourth part. If it's there, like seconds, making sure everything is joined up smoothly. This way, we create a complete, easy to read duration like 1D, 2H, 30M, 5S, or just 45S, depending on what time components we had. That's it for my simple tracker for work hours. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll make sure to answer them all. Don't forget to subscribe.